This is a review for episode 5 of the Game of Thrones, so this is going to include spoilers for episode 5, inside the episode, and also the preview for episode 6. If you aren't caught up on all of those, I wouldn't watch this video. There's another giveaway which I will announce at the end of this video along with the giveaway winner from last week's review. We begin at the wall again. Sansa gets a letter from Littlefinger and meets him in Mole's Town. I don't blame Sansa for not trusting Peter. Why would she? But she was also laying some major woman traps. Guess what he did to me. She forced him to say something, and when he did, oh, so you did know. Don't worry, Peter. Many have tried to avoid the woman trap, and many have crashed just as hard as you did. And there's really no greeting card you could have given her that said, hey, sorry my actions led to your rape and torture. My bad. She could have tried some way to use Peter or get him to prove his loyalty. But I guess she felt that he was too dangerous with how crafty he is. However, by keeping him alive, she is kind of doing that. How satisfying would it be to order Brienne to cut down the man you hold responsible for what happened to you? Sansa shows mercy instead, but maybe not because she's so compassionate, but because she saw a future use for Peter and realized that him alive may be worth more to her in the future than dead. And I was so happy to hear about Blackfish and Riverrun. Now, what is Peter going to do with that army in the Vale? I guarantee you that Sansa and Peter are going to interact again, and the Vale army will be used in some capacity, and I am so excited for it. We sort of got the North Remembers speech, which excited me a lot, but I'm greedy, so I'm banking on some more. But when Sansa was like, hey, the North Remembers, I was thinking, they sort of remember. You might want to remind them just a little bit. Maybe make a PowerPoint presentation to jog their memories. Not happy about Sansa lying to Jon about Littlefinger. That just seems like a terrible idea. And why? Because Baelish said he's your half-brother? Don't be stupid, Sansa. You've had plenty of seasons to be stupid. Now is the time to put on your big girl pants and not be stupid. But this is a huge testament to Peter Baelish's ability to manipulate people and control them. He is still in Sansa's head, just fucking around in there. So after all this time, he still affects how she views the world and how she treats her relationships and the people around her. Hopefully this is more of Sansa mistrusting Baelish and wanting to stay in control, and not Sansa turning power hungry. On the other hand, this could be Sansa becoming colder and colder. She remembers what it feels like, just like another lady with a rock-hard heart did. She's been through so much. Even her own aunt threatened to kill her. Can she really trust her half-brother she was always awful to as a child? What if he gets power, the Lord of Winterfell, and abuses her as payback? We truly know Jon, but she doesn't. And there's another possibility that she feared if she told Jon about Littlefinger's army, he'd force them to use it, and she wanted to avoid that. I personally feel it's just trust issues on her part and wasn't actually a diss on Jon. Though how it's being written so far, there's definitely going to be some friction between Jon and Sansa, and it's not going to be the clear-cut two Starks joining up to kick ass that we were hoping for. Something's going to go wrong. There's going to be tensions in Team Jansa, or Sanon. I don't know, I'm not really good at coming up with team names, so if you guys could come up with a better team name for me, that would be fabulous. So at the end of the day, what this really shows is just how warped Sansa's brain is and how little trust she has for people, and she might actually go through a good portion of her life not being able to fully trust people and holding her cards close to her chest and trying to maintain any level of power that she can, because she knows what happens when she doesn't have that power, when she gives it away to other people, how they have treated her, and that might stay with her for the rest of her life, or we might see her through the rest of the seasons kind of grow out of it and learn to trust more. I guess we'll see. I am hoping that we see some progress with that by the end of the season, but to wholly expect her to be able to trust people 100% after the horrible things that she has been through is just ridiculous. That's not how a lot of people respond to the level of trauma that she has had. Which Brienne questions her about and leads to Brienne's hilarious observation about Jon. He's trustworthy, but a bit brooding. I loved that Brienne said what I did last review. Hey, are you gonna trust Davos and Melisandre? The fair-weather friends that were looking for other prospects when their last leader's body was barely cold? I am so happy that Brienne is going to the Riverlands, and I'm hoping that she's going to meet up with Jaime again. And I hate to bring this next part up because every time I do, it just opens up a can of worms and people freak out. So I am accepting my punishment for this. I'm kind of hoping for a certain lady to appear. And I say that because the actress that plays Sansa may have let things slip during an interview, and I haven't figured out yet if she was just trolling or if it's actually going to happen. I'm going more towards she was trolling, but how she said it just seems like another slip of hers. She's already slipped a few times during her interviews, so her slipping again really wouldn't be that surprising. Sansa asking if Jon likes her dress, and the stereotypical guy response was fantastic. And come on, she made Jon an outfit similar to Ned's. We got another small Brienne Tormund moment. This is how you do it. Not an entire scene dedicated to them, but these little hilarious moments that don't eat time away from the rest of the plot. Tormund's little wistful sigh and smile was adorable, and Brienne looking disgusted was perfect. Cutest couple of 2016, I am putting in my vote now. So they all head out, and before they do, of course, Jon has to jinx Ed by telling him to not let the wall fall while he's gone. That is horrible foreshadowing, and I am terrified. Does this mean Jon will never see Ed again? Typical Ed, he becomes Lord Commander and the entire wall crashes down shortly after. Of course, he's now in charge of what, 8, 9 Black Brothers? Meereen, things are going well, murder rates have seriously decreased, but now Tyrion is ready to recruit people to pump up Daenerys' rep. I will say Tyrion used a line that really aggravates me in both TV shows and movies when someone says, "Oh, who is he?" And then the other actor goes, "Who said anything about a he?" Just stop using that line. Just stop. Varys knowing those details he knew about Westeros means that he either has Little Bird still active in Westeros or he subscribes to Westeros News Today. The Red Priestess talking about the voice Varys heard when the sorcerer cut off his man parts is huge, and I love the inclusion. In the books, Varys remembers the flames turning blue and heard a voice call, but he couldn't understand what the voice said. From then on, Varys would dream not of himself being cut, or watching his manhood shrivel in the fire, but he would dream of the voice from the flames. He wanted to know if it was a god, a demon, or some sort of trick. And from that day on, he hated magic and all that practiced it. So him digging into the priestess as Tyrion is attempting to get him to stop is very much in Varys' character. And they absolutely nailed this scene. Varys is so surprised when she can tell him what the voice said that he's unable to respond. He has convinced himself all these years that he was drugged, in pain, and that he dreamed the voice. Hearing someone acknowledge the voice did exist had to be so shocking. I hope at one point he does ask. This is a huge part of who he is. I also love her basically saying, "Hey, yeah, what happened to you was horrible. But if it didn't happen to you, you wouldn't be able to serve the one that was promised. Sorry about your twigs and berries, though." I wonder if there's a greeting card for that. Daenerys, Jorah, and Daario. Emilia Clarke did some amazing acting this episode. I was so impressed during her conversation with Jorah. Sometimes her emotions seem so forced, but not this time, especially after he confessed his love for her. So then she commanded him to find a cure. Are we getting a Vic Greyjoy type thing? There is a Red Priestess running around along with her friends, so we might get a certain arm modification. Daario also looks so awkward during that whole conversation when Jorah's saying, "I love you," and Daenerys is tearing up and commanding him to find a cure, and he's kind of standing there like, yeah, this is really awkward. I should not be here for this conversation. Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation like that? It is a lot more awkward than you think it would be. Arya and Braavos. The waif is doing what they did throughout the books, testing her resolve and telling her she doesn't belong and never will. So this really isn't unexpected. We got the story of how the religion of the many-faced god was founded, and it was a bit different in the books. And if you want to hear about the differences between the founding of their religion in the books versus the show, you can watch my many-faced god video. This is a shameless plug. I do not feel sorry about it. You cannot make me feel sorry about it. But if you want to learn more about the many-faced god and how that religion was founded, with the book canon, you can check out that video. But we got the general story, and we see that she's progressing. In the books, as she advanced, the priest would share more of the origin story of their religion with her. The only thing that was a bit odd about this scene was the final test. In the books, they're very open that at any time she can leave. They even give her outs, like, hey, if you want to go, we can get you this marriage here. We can send you back to Westeros. We can send you anywhere you want. Just let us know. We'll let you out. And even when she goes to a faceless man at a meeting and he has a conversation with her saying, you're not ready. You just go out into the city, push your little barrow, be happy with yourself. There's never a moment in the book so far that they're saying, hey, you need to complete this mission. If you fail, if you fuck up, we're going to take your face off. No, if you're not meant to be here, just get the hell out. So then it makes me think, why did they make that change? In general, book changes don't bother me that much. There are a few things I would like to see and I get a little disappointed. Cough, Dawn, cough. But in general, it's okay. I want to think about why they made the change. Was it budget reasons? Was it storytelling reasons? Did it just not work on the screen versus what you're reading in a book? And so I think about the change they made with them saying, hey, if you fuck this up, we're gonna fuck you up. And I kind of think they're doing this for suspense purposes, to make us feel more tense about, oh my God, is she going to do this? Is she going to flip out? She saw that play. Is she going to murder other people? Is she going to question them? Is she not going to be able to do this? So I think the change is just to make audiences feel more fearful for Arya's predicament. Instead of feeling like, oh, well, if she messes up, she can just walk out the door. It's no big deal. That's fine. Nothing bad's going to happen. That's not very exciting for just people watching a TV show. You want to feel like there's something to risk, something to lose, just not, oh, she's not going to be part of the temple anymore. Time for a new Arya adventure. So anyways, then she's sent to murder the actress. And we all know that this test is a test. It felt as if they purposely picked this kill to see how willing she was to follow orders, but also to see how she feels about her old life, how attached she is to it, and being Arya Stark. People were mocking her family. How did she feel about that? Did she want to lash out or hurt those people for doing it? Why would no one even have an emotional response? Some great acting by Maisie, especially when she was learning about things that she didn't know about via the play, but she should also understand that given all the other inconsistencies in the play, that not everything is as it seems, so I doubt she thinks now that Tyrion is just some monster that was ripping her clothes off and just molesting her, although she might. But I think Arya's smart enough to look a little bit deeper and realize that the whole play was kind of a skewed view of history. And funny enough, it was almost as if Arya was in the play herself, as she was in a similar location when her father was beheaded, although in that case she didn't actually see her father get his head cut off, and in the play she got to see her father's head being cut off. So there was a minor difference, but it was neat how they made it as if Arya was part of the play, viewing that scene all over again. The play was a good example that history is written by the victors, to a certain extent. I have a problem with that saying in itself. In the play, Tyrion and Ned are power-hungry monsters, and Joffrey and Cersei are the good guys. It's seeing things like this that reminds us that the World of Ice and Fire book was written by the Maesters. Throughout the book, we can see how biased the Maesters are, and that the book is written for Joffrey and then Tommen. Obviously, the Maesters wouldn't put anything in there that might get them in trouble with the Lannister family. It makes you wonder what we're missing, what is altered, and what was just simply fabricated. Then don't even get started on the ancient history. So watching the play, we also see certain characters that had a huge hand in the events are missing. So how much from the history books in their world and ours is missing similar key players? There's also a Winds of Winter name drop, and in my obsessed mind, I am now fantasizing that at the end of episode 10, they're going to have a Winds of Winter release date, and this was just a hint to get us all riled up about it. Don't take this away from me. The scenes with Arya also had similar components from the release sample chapter Mercy, which is what they've been doing with her storyline, mixing it up and taking pieces from different points and kind of just combining it. Arya did question her kill in the books, even though it is a different kill. The actress's death is a bit more questionable in the show. The guy in the books was a piece of shit. A woman being killed because of another jealous actor is a bit different. Though all the same to the many-faced god if the person wanting her dead was willing to pay the price. But as he said, and I have also said in my many-faced god video, I gotta stop plugging myself, But as he said, they don't discriminate based on good or bad. If they did discriminate and they were like, hey, you're good, we can't take you, then somewhere in the world, good people would live forever. Arya will either turn on the priests eventually or turn things around on them. We know that's going to happen eventually. And just seeing how she was affected by the play shows that she's not no one yet. The King's Moot was exciting, not sure why there's no mention of damp hair, but whatever. Finally, Yara trusts Theon to a certain degree, and now hopefully they can form a more loving relationship. And predictably, Theon hurt Yara's cause when Euron started ripping on his failures and not having a penis. Though the Ironborn easily switch sides. They're all chanting that Yara's gonna be their next ruler, and then Euron comes, he makes a few comments and some insults, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, this guy has some sick burns. He should actually rule us. But no mention of pine cones. Apparently all you have to do to rule the Iron Islands is show up late to a very important meeting, start making some dick jokes, maybe throwing some fart jokes in there just in case that's more on their level, say you're just gonna marry some lady halfway across the world, and boom, you're ruler of the Iron Islands. You thought this shit was hard? I didn't. It's the Iron Islands. I'm sorry, Greyjoy fans. I'm so sorry. I can't help the stabs. I can't help them. Liked seeing the process of him becoming a king though, and drowning him. Loved the driftwood crown. Yara and Theon flee the Iron Islands, and then Euron comes to, and his first command is, hey, let's go form a little mob party, find my niece and nephew, and just murder the shit out of them. That escalated quickly. And does no one care about kinslaying anymore? Is that just what all the cool kids are doing nowadays, is just kinslaying? Or are we just gonna keep pissing on how serious of a thing that is in this world? Yes? Okay, you just had to let me know. I'm fine with it now. I'm gonna go kill my brother. I'll be right back. So are Yara and Theon stealing his plan? They're heading to Daenerys to give her some of the best ships? Euron still needs to build his ships, and they'll be there long before he's done. And does Euron's whole Daenerys needs ships plan mean that he was the one that burned her fleet? I've already mentioned the Iron Islands appear to be further in time than the rest of the show, so it might work out. The cave, first before going into the darker parts of this, and the vision where Ned is saying goodbye to his father and family to head to the Vale to be fostered by Jon Arryn, we see where Ned got his awesome haircut and style. He copied his dad's hair. How cute is that? Bran screwed them all over because he got bored or wanted to see things that he wasn't being shown. And then the Night's King marks him, which apparently breaks magic and allows the others to enter places that normally they couldn't. So now the question has to be asked, Bran is marked. Is he going to flee south past the wall, and the fact that he goes past the wall, he destroys the magic that keeps the others from crossing, and so Bran is going to essentially allow the others to get past the wall. And I'm not sure exactly how this works. It kind of seemed like they needed to mark a green seer or do it within a vision, because if they could have marked any human, they would have marked Craster or any of his wives or just anyone, marked them, and then once they fled back to the wall or past the wall, it would have dropped the magic. So there seems to have to be something special or a particular person marked in order for it to actually work. Or it could not work that way. I honestly have no idea. This is a big reveal, so I guess we'll see more, and we'll see if Bran goes past the wall, and they rub their hands together, and they get their little monocles out, and they're like, ha ha ha, you fell right into our hands. Does Bran's fleeing result in them following? Bloodraven seemed very concerned about training him in general, which makes me believe they would have found a way across the wall even without this happening. When Mira started talking about going home and all the foods they had, that was a huge red flag. Anytime someone talks of going home, you know shit is about to go down. Her other kill was awesome though. Summer dying was upsetting, but I guess symbolic of winter is coming and summer is dead? And I honestly feel like the real reason was budget issues. They have been hacking apart the direwolves this season and have used them sparingly over the seasons, so I feel like part of this really just was a, yeah, we need to cut down on budget, and we want to have more cool dragons, and we want to have this cool dragon versus white fight in the future, so sorry little puppy, you gots to go. But, you know, I could be wrong. Summer could not be dead. He could have rolled under a dumpster in time, and we're going to see him in a few episodes after everyone's all worked up about it. You just don't know. But I do wonder now what is going to happen with Bran, because Bran always used Summer to warg into and get a break from being a cripple. And now that he can't do that, is he going to use werewood.net to feel whole again because he can walk in the visions? And it will kind of replace Summer and he won't need it anymore. It's going to be devastating for Bran to come out of this whole situation and know that Bloodraven is gone, his wolf is gone, and also his friend is gone, and all of it is his fault. Willis's death was just heartbreaking. There have been theories that Bran was going to warg into him and cause his current state, but seeing it acted out was just so awful. And the showrunners confirmed that George shared the origin story of Willis with them, and this is how he became messed up. So now I'm wondering when we're going to say goodbye to Willis. Probably in the Winds of Winter. Is it going to be in a similar situation? How is it going to be changed? And how hard are we going to cry when that book is released? So hearing these theories is one thing. Seeing it done was just awful, and the look on Bran's face when he realizes he's responsible. Saying Hodor throughout his life was all about the moment he dies, and how he was made to serve Bran. So here's where things get a little bit dark. Why did Bloodraven show Bran that vision of his father and uncle sparring? What purpose did it serve? To show him how to use werewood.net? To grow his abilities and powers? Or was it because Bloodraven knew that he needed to close a time loop? Bloodraven needed to make sure that Hodor was created so Bran got to the cave. So Bloodraven takes Bran to that vision and shows him Willis knowing what will happen. Then Bloodraven takes him back and things go down. Now I wonder if Willis knew when he was going to die. What if during that moment Bran wargs into him in the past and starts seizing? He sees how he dies in the future. Bran was warging into Willis in the past and future and might have seen his own death. He was seizing because he was seeing his present time and future. Or because Bran was controlling him at multiple times on his own timeline. Older Willis was terrified in the cave and refused to move, even with Mira screaming at him to help. Did he know this is where he dies? Was he so terrified not because of the whites, but because he knew what was in store for himself? And the really sick part about this, Willis may have not gone out as a hero. Willis was mentally raped into serving Bran and saving him, so he used him as a shield. Bran created him, fucked up his entire life, had him serve him, used him as a warm body to do things for him, a pack mule, and then used him to save himself and led to his death. That's just super dark. So I'm pretending in my own headcanon that Willis finally regained himself at the end. He was able to push Bran out of his head, and he himself held that door, and it wasn't because Bran did, once again, the awful thing of warging into a human. I'm pretending that he died a hero not because he was forced to be one, but because he chose to be one. But here's your frightening question for the day. Will Willis and Summer both become whites? So now that it's just Bran and Mira out on their own, how are they going to survive? Dare I hope for a man? Dare I hope for a man with hands that are the opposite of hot? Yes, this certain man would be leading them to the wall instead of away from it to the cave like in the books, but I will take it. Better late than never. Bran is mimicking the last hero in a way. In the story, the last hero was trying to find the children of the forest to stop the others, and on his way, all of his companions, including his horse and dog, died. Bran has already met the children of the forest and is running away from the others, but the similarity between the two stories makes me worry about Mira. Another question, Bran has basically been uploaded with Bloodraven's information, so at this point, how powerful is Bran? And now that he knows that he can affect the past, is he going to? Or is he going to be afraid to, knowing the consequences of doing so? On top of that, how many more visions are we going to get this season? I'm sure he's still going to have visions here or there, because I swear to God, if we don't get the end to that Tower of Joy scene, D&D, we're going to riot. We're not actually going to riot, we're going to threaten to riot, but we are going to threaten very hard. The children of the forest creating the others was a twist. It kind of makes sense. They were being badly beaten by the first men and driven further and further north. Their sacred trees were being cut down. They created a weapon to turn their enemies against themselves. I did like Leaf talking about how the first men were cutting down their trees, and then the next scene we jump to at the very end, we see Euron commanding his men to cut down all the trees. Different trees, but it still was a bit comical. The actor that played the Sacrifice Man also plays the Night's King in the show, so we saw the Night's King being created. However, the showrunners said that the Children of the Forest created the ultimate evil on that day, which is a bit of an odd statement to me. George has, in his interviews and over the years, made the others sound a little more complex than that they weren't ultimate evil. They weren't the mustache twisting bad guys. So for the showrunners to say, oh yeah, this is ultimate evil being created, they're just evil on top of evil, does strike a bit odd to me. And I don't know if that's just them misunderstanding George. I mean, they've misunderstood a couple characters like Stannis. Their interviews on what they thought Book Stannis was completely different than what Book Stannis was like. So I don't know if this is another thing where they don't understand the characters, or if they need to change it to make it more exciting for television, and the plot George has for them is just too complex. It just doesn't sound right compared to what we know about George and the things he's said about the others. I did like their statement though. The great nemesis of mankind was created to protect the children of the forest from mankind. It was a bit weird that it was Leaf that turned the guy, because in the books she's not even close to being old enough to be around during that time. So how does this all impact the books? The pact between the First Men and the Children of the Forest was signed way before the others appeared and the Long Night. So maybe the legends have it wrong? The others didn't appear way after the pact, but were created by the Children of the Forest before it? So what if the others were created before the pact, the First Men knew about them, and when the others went rogue and started the Long Night, then the last hero set out to find the Children of the Forest because they knew they were their weapons and needed their help in stopping them? What if the pact was signed because the others were getting out of hand and turned against their creators? So the Children of the Forest needed a ceasefire to deal with them, but couldn't hold them back for forever. That means the Children of the Forest caused the Long Night. No wonder they helped end it and build the wall, if they really did. I don't know, the storyline's a bit messy right now, but very interesting for show only. We know that Craster was giving up sons left and right to the others, so we know at this point that there are tons of others out there, way more than what we've seen. And I would imagine that when they go past the wall and down south to invade, we're going to see a ton of others. After seeing this, the symbols used by the others makes a lot more sense. We see the spiral pattern with the dead horses, and then again with Bran's vision around the weirwood tree. They were ancient symbols used in rituals by the Children of the Forest. So yeah, this episode was heartbreaking. I felt like I was punched in the gut by the end of the episode. So thank you, D&D. You always know how to make me an emotional cripple on Sundays. So the preview for episode 6 looks absolutely intense. We're going to see the Tyrell army, we're going to see Bran and Mira fighting off the Whites, and we might, just might, see Daenerys in Meereen, which I cannot wait for. So giveaway, the winner of last week's giveaway was MCC0917, and she cheated and used my love of dinosaurs against me. I recently discovered I can't personal message users anymore unless they have a channel, so you will have to message me your email for me to send it to you. New chance to win a $20 gift card to Amazon. To enter this giveaway, all you have to do is write in the comment section below, if you were part of the King's Moot, what would you say in order to get them to pick you as the new king or queen of the Iron Islands? And keep in mind, dick jokes go over fabulously with these people. So I will pick a winner randomly, and I will announce the winner in next week's episode review. So thank you for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. It helps the channel out a lot. Besides that, come back for more Game of Thrones videos, Star Wars videos, comic videos, and anything sci-fi fantasy related. And if you want to see more awesome Game of Thrones content, you can check out Civilization X or Alt-Shift X.